putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Talking delusional Democrats, folks. An article written in The Hill by a guy named John Leboutillier or something like that. He's a former Republican out of New York, and he's giving us all the reasons why 2018 is going to be a bad year for us. Bad year. Woo! Welcome back. Kevin Jackson here is who you're listening to. KJRadio.com. We're up to number 13, I think, of 28 here. Let me see. Yeah, 13 of 28 reasons why we got bad news coming in 2018, which, by the way, is completely opposite of what I say. I say the Democrats are going to have the worst year of their political year. And quite frankly, 2016 could be considered one of them, because guess what happened? We got Donald Trump elected. 2017, you could say, well, that was bad because Donald Trump had an amazing first year. Best year one of modern presidency, and perhaps the best year one of the republic. All right. And now we're into year two. And the Democrats are saying, this guy, John Leboutillier, who calls himself a Republican, former New York City congressman, who says, no, it's going to be bad for the Republicans because they want to demoralize you. See, they're used to dealing with weak-minded people. They're used to dealing with people when they go, well, Kevin, you know, y'all was slaves and stuff, and you had a lack of civil rights. And I was going, well, actually, they wouldn't be talking in the slave terms. I would. But I'd be like, oh, well, thank you for pointing that out, Miss Massel John Leboutillier. But they don't get it. We are immune to their nonsense. There is no kryptonite for Superman. You know, Dr. Somebody got a cure for him because we don't care. Here's what this guy goes on to say, though. In his first year, this is number 13. In his first year, despite his behavioral deficits, the GOP did get federal appointments and Supreme Court nominees Neil Gorsuch done. Now, let me just tell you, that's bad English, because he's telling you in his first year, despite his behavioral deficits, he's supposed to tell you who. He was supposed to be telling you about Trump, but instead he tells you the GOP did get federal court appointments. So he should have said Trump got federal court appointments and Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch done, did confirm cabinet officers who are now deregulating, did cut corporate taxes. These were all Trump campaign promises, and to his credit, he kept his promises. So now I'm beginning to think, is this guy writing a piece to make people understand what Trump actually has done? You know, I'm thinking, did he shift gears on me? Because he's exactly right. Trump got all that done in year one, despite his behavioral deficits, and despite being weekly, demonized by the polls and demonized by the media to where his poll numbers are supposedly so low that nobody should be able to get anything done. But here's where he goes on, number 14. But the GOP and President Trump failed monumentally at doing what they promised over 4 election cycles from 2010 to 2016, and that's to replace Obamacare with something better. Here's what I'm going to guarantee you. Donald Trump will get Obamacare done. It'll be completely obliterated. He mentioned at CPAC that we've got these new plans coming up, and when they come up, it's going to make Obamacare look very anemic. But he says this. That failure, along with Trump's dyspeptic personality, is why the GOP has so little national support. Okay, I'll bite. So then in number 15, the 2017 agenda was traditional republicanism. He calls that a negative. Traditional republicanism says, I'm going to put the money in your pockets, you're going to go do what you do, and we're going to give you an economy where you can flourish. He thinks that's bad, so be it. Here's number 16. But there is no agenda for 2018. In fact, the GOP-controlled Congress and executive branch cannot even pass a continuing resolution to keep the government open for a few weeks. So, again, is this really one of these things that should be a bullet point, that the obstructionist Democrats don't want to allow the government to be funded so that they can continue to try to play the game with these different things like DACA? How'd that work out for them when they shut down the government? Did they win? Who's winning in the DACA debate? Let me tell you how you know who's winning in the DACA debate. You're not hearing about it. If the Democrats were winning in the DACA debate, you'd be hearing about it like, oh, man, the Mexican kids are doing this and that. Right now, they've shifted gears. We're talking about guns. What have they done? They brought out all these oppressed high school kids who now around the country are worried about guns shooting up their schools. Let me tell you, they're not worried about guns shooting up their schools in most of these suburbs where it's a majority of white kids. They're not worried about it. These kids are learning. They are dealing with behavioral issues. Parents are involved. The whole thing. They're only worried about these in the random cases where the school and the system and everything breaks down. That's what they're worried about. But what do the Democrats do? They load up the airways with all these sob stories of kids saying, we can't stand that Donald Trump didn't protect our schools. Really? So let me ask you, how long was that school unprotected? How long have they known about this radical kid? These schools that have been unprotected were unprotected for the same 8 years under Barack Obama. You're not going to make people believe that this is a Trump problem, and he's not going to take it either. Then they said this. And when asking Democrats for some votes to help out, Trump goes and utters the crap hole comment, and all hell breaks loose. This is what he writes. So now he's going back to, okay, Trump calling these countries, third world countries, crap holes. He used a different word. Where's that at? Remember all the hoopla? He just, in his own words, all hell breaks loose. Okay, all hell broke loose. What's the outcome? Trump's numbers continue to rise. And you know what the outcome was? Almost everybody went, well, he's right. Even we had 2 African leaders who said, President Trump is right. President Trump he calls it right. There are many countries in Africa that are doing bad. And I'm looking at these guys admit, yeah, we got it bad. The president of Zimbabwe came out and said, President Trump's right. He's calling it as it is. Were they offended? The Africans were not offended. Then he says this. 2 GOP senators, Tom Cotton and David Perdue of Georgia, impugn the integrity of the number 2 Democrat in the Senate, Dick Durbin, and thus the atmosphere is severely poisoned, thus hindering chances to work together on things like infrastructure and immigration. Let me explain to the Democrats and the knuckleheads listening, the Democrats listening to my program. What's going to happen in infrastructure and immigration is going to happen regardless of you. Donald Trump will get his immigration bill passed. He will build a wall. He will end chain migration. He will end the visa lottery, whether you like it or not. The